Hi everyone, it's QuickyBaby and welcome back to World of Tanks, and today I've got a showcase for you of the worst tier 9 medium tank in the game. Or is it? This is the Object 283, and this vehicle is Wargaming's dirty little secret. This tank was released inside the Holiday Ops event last year, where you had to go and mine different resources by logging into the game every single day during the Christmas period to be able to turn those resources into tokens to put into a slot machine to have a very small chance of getting the Object 283. Now this vehicle was so hard to get that even if you literally picked up every single bit of dust that Wargaming released during the event, you would still only have, I think it was about a 50% chance of being able to get the vehicle permanently over the event. And so the joke is that people logged in twice a day, every day, irrelevant of whether they actually wanted to play World of Tanks or not, doing it like a job to mine to then not even get the vehicle permanently. I did it on my free-to-play account, no permanent tank. I think I got something like 50 rentals of the vehicle. On my main account, however, I got lucky towards the latter part of it. Got it permanently, and it was one of the biggest kind of stress reliefs ever. And that's because some people wanted this tank so much, understandably, as there are lots of tank collectors inside World of Tanks, that they spent $4,000 on loot crates. But the funny thing was, this tank wasn't in loot crates. You just got spare dust as a little bonus reward from the loot crates. And so people were spending like $10 a pop just in buying loot boxes that they probably didn't actually need anything from anymore after a while, to have enough dust to have another roll at getting a tier 9 reward vehicle. This isn't even a premium tank, it's not going to be making you extra credits. And so those players, some of them spent that much money and they didn't even get it after doing something like 500 rolls. Now of course they got unlucky. I think you had to do on average about, I think it was 100 rolls or something, to be able to have like an even chance of being able to get this tank. So if you went and bought like, I don't know, about 500 rolls, you were getting unlucky. But you go flip a coin like 5 times, and if you don't get heads at least one of those 5 times, then that would be the similar kind of luck as to the people who ended up spending something stupid like $4,000 trying to get this tank. Honestly, it was the most shameful thing that Wargaming have probably ever done with regards to tank collectors. And that's because up until that point, everyone who really wanted a vehicle could have just either paid $50 usually when it comes out in the shop, or you can have to buy up to, I guess, like $200 or $300 worth of loot crates to now guarantee yourself to be able to get all of the new content. As long as, of course, you still have all of the other vehicles as well. But if you're a tank collector, you're probably got those, right? So at worst, when a new series of boxes come out, then you have to spend $50 to $100 for all of the new tanks. Now, interestingly enough, Wargaming are finally making, so they're finally doing something that they should have done frankly last year, and that is there is a guaranteed way to be able to get this vehicle. With the Waffenträger loot crates, which are going to be arriving, I believe, on Monday, I'd just like to clarify, if you watched my video where I looked at the leaked review of all of the loot crate contents, all of the leaked content is completely correct. It's that's all there is to say. The leak was completely correct, and you're going to be able to get this vehicle guaranteed if you buy 50 of the crates, if you already have all of the other vehicles. So if you've got all of the content apart from the 2 new tanks that'll be arriving on the European server, which is the T3 Jaeger and also the Jagdtiger prototype, if you didn't manage to get this vehicle back in the day, you'll be able to finally get your hands on the 283 permanently. So the funny thing is with this tank is that it actually has the worst statistics of any tier 9 tank amongst the player base. It has the worst win ratio, an average of 44.57 in the last 30 or 60 days on the European server, and it also is doing the worst damage of any tier 9 tank, apart from the light tanks, at 896. This thing's doing less damage, average damage, than even artillery at tier 9. Yeah, that really says something. However, does that really mean that it is the worst tier 9 medium tank? Well, no, it actually doesn't. The reason why this tank has the worst statistics is nothing really to do with the tank, because as you will all know from my tank review that I released in Christmas last year, it's not actually all that bad. It's got decent frontal armor, decent damage per minute, decent amounts of alpha damage, good AP pen, and, well, not the best AP pen for tier 9, but not bad heat pen at 300. It's got, yeah, decent armor and everything. It's even got 6 degrees of gun depression, which isn't great, but it's not that terrible for a Soviet medium tank, and it side scrapes very well as well. So why is its statistics so bad? Well, that's because it was given as a rental in the slot machine from last year. So a lot of players who have probably never played tier 9 got the vehicle as a rental and thought, hey, I'll give it a go. So they log in, they play a couple of games, and yeah, it's not going to go too well for them. And also, the biggest joke about this tank is that everyone who got it as a rental couldn't buy the field mods. So they didn't even ever manage to get all of the bells and whistles on the tank to be able to play it like they could if it had been a normal tank. Wargaming, seriously, I understand why you don't want to allow people to unlock field mods on a rental, because they'll feel sad that they wasted all of the experience or they wasted all of the credits on a tank that isn't being rented to the account. But it's an absolute joke if you do give rentals of a tank, like you're going to be doing in the Waffenträger as well in this series of loot crates, that the players won't be able to unlock field mods on the tanks, and so they won't be able to play them in all of that special function. Now, of course, it's going to be like that across the board, or at least it was not really like that with the 283, because some people got it permanently and some people got it as a rental. And so subsequently, that is what's dragging down the statistics of the tank. The fact that casual players got it as a rental, occasionally take it out onto the battlefield and usually play it very badly, and then even half-decent players never really invested the time and the effort into the tank, maybe playing it sporadically as a rental, because they didn't even manage to get the field mods on the vehicle. So just a complete, total joke by Wargaming across the board. And so, consequently, this thing actually is the easiest tier 9 tank to 3-mark in the game. And so, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, you have got until Monday. If you're watching this video as it's released, you're too late, unfortunately, if it's when it already comes out on Monday, to be able to try and 3-mark this tank. Although, and that, should I say, easily. But then again, it will take probably a couple of weeks for the requirements to go higher and higher and higher, as more players unlock the vehicle, as more players get all of the field mods on the vehicle, and undoubtedly as the sweaty nerds decide that they want to play this tank to be able to get 3 more stars on the barrel of another one of their tanks. And so just like I said with my leaked video, you should be playing the 283 now if you're somebody who wants to play intelligently to try and get marks on their vehicle, because the requirements are about to go up when the vehicle is permanently available inside people's garages. I still think that it's not going to be a stressor, as in you have to do it because the requirements are going to go really, really high. So if you've never played the tank, don't feel like you have to go and grind it for 100 battles over the weekend because, oh, it's going to be too hard on Monday. That's not going to be the case. But every little helps, as everyone knows, when it comes to marking tanks. And if you're even like a casual player, this is one that you might be able to kind of increase your EP in a way by trying to mark it before it's released permanently on Monday. So, what are we doing on Prokhorovka now that it took me literally about 8.5 minutes to be able to explain the sorry state of the 283? Well, we are doing exactly what you should do on Prokhorovka, which in my opinion is to take something like vents, coated optics vision system, or maybe exhaust instead of the vents in this kind of a scenario, and just lock down your opponents. You can see we have got already 4,500 spotting so far this game, and honestly Prokhorovka is a game of patience. We managed to get rid of one of the light tanks, the HWK-30, and we finally managed to dig out that sneaky Char 75 who was spotting our allies. And that's one of the great things about a medium tank, is that unless you move, you're still incredibly stealthy. You've got kind of like the same camera rating as a light tank when you're sitting still, but it's only when you move in a medium tank that you become a little bit vulnerable. And so, with packing the vents, the coated optics, and the vision system on this tank to be able to give it some impressive view range, this thing was easily able to outspot all of the lights. And having done that, even though we're down on hit points still, we're actually up a kill, and we won't be down on hit points for long as we get to farm this G-Saw with some good vision, I believe, from the AMX 1390. And so Prokhorovka is quite often about playing the long game. A lot of people think this is a horrible campy map. I understand. But I think that if you really hate it that much, you could probably just ban it. You could use one of your bands on it even as a free-to-play player. You have a band to be able to put on this map. And I do think that it's quite nice in this game that we still have maps that aren't all in turbo fests. I'm not sure what you think about the new Mountain Pass changes, but I feel like Mountain Passes... Okay, well that Charles 75 managed to take out a 3090 with his dying breath. I don't know what you think about the Mountain Pass changes, but I feel like they've just accelerated the map quite a lot. And I understand that Wargaming want to make maps more progressive because not everybody wants a camp-off inside World of Tanks. But I think the more that they, should we say, cater towards like 4-minute games or even below 3-minute games that just seem to be just so meaningless, and the more that they cater to heavy tanks and don't really give light tanks or medium tanks that want to scout or even tank destroyers an opportunity to hold back the pace of the game, I feel like almost the worse the game gets in a little bit. Alright, so we're still down on hit points, but I'm confident in myself. We're gonna sneak our way forward along this bush line, and the vision system is going to pay dividends. We even managed to spot the Borask at a decent distance there. Luckily, they don't quite manage to see me, and the E50 manages to finish them off. I give a thumbs up thank you to the E50. He's done a great job in crushing their way through the eastern flank. And now we are going to sneak our way through this bush line. We're going to find the T-30. And yeah, I was feeling pretty chuffed here right now that we just managed to spot out the whole of a tier 9 tank destroyer at this stage of the game who is full health. And that is just the icing on the cake to an already great round. We're up to 1,800 damage that we've dealt. Make that 2,100 damage that we've dealt. And nearly 8,000 spotting as well. The requirements for a third mark of excellence on this tank are only 2,500, meaning that we're already up to 10k. This will increase my marks of excellence by 3%, over 3% in this kind of a scenario, because you kind of lose a percent when you enter the battle, and then you either gain or you lose depending on how much of the extras that you get. And this is, it's almost just like rubbing salt in the wound here of this SU-130 PM, as we manage to finish this game with that is 11,500 combined. Not bad for the worst tier 9 medium tank. That'll be a marks gain of about 3.5%. With the vision system absolutely destroying this game, as it should do. This is one of the best maps for it. Well, maybe camping isn't your thing. Maybe you don't want to sit in a bush on Prokhorovka. Well, maybe the Object 283 will be the tank for you. This is actually a very proficient, aggressive tank, albeit inside a nice matchup. This tank's armor is pretty much designed to be kind of idiot-proof. In this kind of a situation, they really have to just shoot the flat part. The lower plate is actually quite strong because it's curved as you can see even. And it does really well against equal and lower tier tanks. It's kind of designed for about 230 pen. They only have a very slim chance of being able to go through. It's only really when you start to deal with really high penetration, like 260, 270, or 300, the vehicle starts to struggle. You'll see that in this scenario, I'm definitely using a gun rammer. I want to pump up the vehicle's damage per minute. And I also thoroughly recommend that you consider using vertical stabilizers on this tank, which I am here. I think maybe in my tank review last year, I was possibly recommending that people use a turbo. Don't. Just use vert stabs on this tank. The two builds that I would recommend are vents, vision system coated optics, and then vents, gun rammer, and vert stabs. It really, really does help on this tank because it has horrible bloom. 2.5 seconds aim time really holds this tank back. So why not try and actually prevent it from blooming in the first place? It has 0.18 turret traverse dispersion, so you must have snapshot on your gunner, and I believe you must use vert stabs on this tank, otherwise its gun handling just feels too awful to be able to react. However, once you do get vert stabs on this tank, and once you... its gun actually feels pretty darn decent. And now you're just driving around with kind of STB1 levels of alpha damage. Sure, you don't have STB1 levels of rate of fire and damage per minute, but with 2,300 base, this is absolutely no slouch. And you'll be surprised at how efficient the vehicle can be when you're side-scraping like this. It's very decent indeed. Then your opponents pretty much have to load gold and fire at the cheeks of the tank. If it's dealing with tier 7 and tier 8 tanks, even their gold isn't really a guarantee to be able to go through the cheeks of the vehicle. But when you're dealing with kind of like the tier 9s and the tier 10s, sure it will. I guess the really only downside of this vehicle is that just all of the statistics just feel as if they're a little too balanced. But I think that's good in a way because, you know, we don't want to have more tier 9s going into the game like the Concept 1B or the Kampfpanzer, for example, which is going to absolutely trash their rounds. And this is a very rare sight, two 283s going in against the new medium tank at Tier 9, the Skoda 1006/7, or the Scheme 7, I should say. Even though it says a slash there, it's the Scheme 7 on that vehicle. Gosh darn it. The Leopard prototype puts a good shot into the side of our tank. Now we're going to be going after this 50 TP. It's going to be a little bit cheeky here. We're going to put one into the back of his vehicle. I think we damaged his fuel tank, and it looks like we did as he set on fire. That's sad. That's an automatic fire extinguisher. Well, just added 10,000 credits to the amount that you're going to lose this game, buddy. Didn't save you very much there. And we are just on a tear. I blinked. Can you believe we're actually on 6 kills? Maybe you wouldn't realize it. At the time, I had no idea. And then I thought to myself, ooh, possible Radley opportunity. Let's reload high explosive, and we're going to roll for 420 with our HE. And the HE on this tank actually do 480, so they are very proficient against those glass cannons. We've got Adrenaline Rush activated as well, so maybe there's even a possibility we're going to be able to have to go at this Leopard. We're not going to kill steal quite yet. He's still very healthy. We managed to hit the Leopard's tracks. Am I going to kill steal this shell? I guess I could wait, but I thought, you know what? Let's have the good karma. Let's go in for the ram kill for the Radley Walters. Ouch, wasn't to be. Yeah, I guess, like, nice guys finish last in that case when it comes to getting Radley Walters medals. Okay, so now I'm going to be using a turbo instead. This was a replay from before I realized just how much vert stabs truly help this tank. And you're going to notice just how bad the gun handling is in this game and how it's going to cost me a few shots. Nevertheless, the turbo is definitely going to help me for challenging the most important position on mines, which has to be on top of the hill. However, without a turbo, I guess you could still try and contest the hill, and if you don't manage to get up there, at least you can sit hold down against your opponents, or alternatively, you could make your way east on this map and try to side scrape, as there are lots of opportunities. I don't think I love this tank, but I think I like it. I like it enough. This is actually a solid Tier 9 vehicle. If you're a good player, you will be able to easily pressure your opponents in it. And while the vert stab's actually not seeming like they're quite needed there against that Progetto. But look at this thing's armor. We're bouncing the Skoda. We've bounced gold rounds from the Progetto. We're in it. We're going to go after this EBR. Miss the shot on the EBR. Turn around again. The Progetto manages to get shut down, and we spot, I thought it was a platoon of Skoda T56s, but no, they're not actually in a platoon. Now we're going to look at this aiming. Ooh, that was not good. That was not good. That is a clear example of where the horrible aim time and gun dispersion values when turning the turret and also when moving on this tank will come back to haunt you. Thoroughly recommend, unless you're somebody who absolutely must go super fast, that you drop the turbo and take vert stabs on this tank. Although I guess some people might want to use like gun rammer with a turbo and vert stabs and just drop the vents. But then look at my view range. This is with situational awareness. This is with recon, and this is with a premium consumable and brothers in arms, and you can see that I still don't manage to get the view range up, and that's with vents. So if I drop the vents, then my view range would be pretty bad on this tank. So that's always like an awkward thing to try and figure out as to, is it worth dropping the vents with regards to the little bit of extra that it gives you, especially for your accuracy and also your view range. So now it's just about doing cheeky stuff up on the hill. We're going to use intuition to try and use the right round for the right job, and I like to reverse a lot in this tank. Because of the rear mounted turret, when I'm actually poking out around the corners, especially on this position in mines, I'm going to have to actually reverse. It seems a bit weird. I am giving my behind to the enemy, but I'm exposing such a smaller amount of my tank that it almost feels like it is worthwhile. I think if I was to hang my front out, especially over this corner, then maybe the A-Phase 1 could turn around and shoot me in the hull, or alternatively there could be tank destroyers that are sitting in the bushes over here that would get me. Talk about things that are gonna get me. Bruv, what was that? I'm actually using the align up there, and I ping the map where I saw the artillery last hit me from. I'm going to reload an HE shell. I'm going to reverse my way back into the bush, and I'm going to shoot where I pinged the map. And, oh, what's that? What's that I spy? Oh, it's an artillery. Unfortunately, I only hit his tracks and I didn't pen them. And, oh, maybe if I'd been using bounty gear there, I would have been able to reload in time. So I guess A little fortunate that I hit the artillery, but a little unfortunate that it didn't penetrate with the high explosive shell. Otherwise, I would have been able to kill that artillery, and it would have been a super satisfying feeling, right? There's nothing quite like blind firing an artillery that just removed a couple hundred of your hit points, right? Okay, so now that we've put the artillery in their place, we can go back to doing some cheeky reverse work here in the bush. We shut down the Skoda T56, turn our attention to the CS52 Lease, and luckily when you don't move too much, you don't really need the vert stabs in this tank, but I think the tank has to be played dynamically, so don't try and trick yourself into thinking that you can get away without them, because I feel like the tank feels horrendous. And look, that's coming from someone who absolutely loves turbos. I am a turbo fiend. I gotta go fast. I mean, I'm called QuickyBaby, for goodness sake. Of course I gotta go fast inside World of Tanks, right? So if I tell you that this tank doesn't need a turbo, then maybe there's some kind of weight in those words. So once again, the artillery tries to hit us, doesn't manage to catch us though, and we're just gonna reverse up nonchalantly, but also menacingly, I guess, towards this AE Phase 1, who focuses down the TS5. We're keeping our frontal armor towards where I thought the threat would be in the form of the tank destroyer's positions. We're gonna bomb it around the corner. We're gonna bounce an SU-130PM, now blocking more damage than the hit points that the vehicle has. Put one into the back of the Skoda T56. He's actually going to miss his first shot or bounce off my butt, so I'm just going to sit there and take it. We actually set him on fire, and you know, cool guys don't look at fires, right? No, cool guys don't look at fires as we secure the kill on the Skoda T56 and turn our attention to more victims here. More tank destroyers, more damage, more farming. Got to try and get that ace tanker up or try and get the marks in this tank, right? Although, I mean, come on, do I really need to try hard in a vehicle like this, which is the easiest tier 9 to 3 mark inside the game? But I don't think it will be the easiest tier 9 to 3 mark for long. As the rentals eventually run out from last Christmas, and more people manage to get more field mods, and more people unlock the vehicle, and it will to be able to have those advantages or even just care about the tank more as we put in another filthy HE shell into this SU-130PM, I believe the requirements are going to get significantly harder. And there's only really one thing left to do, and that is raise the gun, give the piggy the salute, finish him off, and turn around so we can take a cool looking screenshot. And this was a great game, man. This one had it all, you know? It had artillery blind shots, it had cool guys don't look at fires. That is what World of Tanks is about. And while I don't think this is a very cool tank, it doesn't really have enough excellent stats in all of the different areas to truly be outrageously good inside the game. It is not bad. And this tank does not deserve the title of worst tier 9 in the game. And so, if you manage to get this vehicle inside the loot crates, give it a few goes. And honestly, this one might be very easy to pad up your WN8 considering how low the requirements are. Anyway, ladies and gents, boys and girls, that was it for today with these 3 ace tankers. I'm not going to show you, you're just going to have to believe me. Really hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, give it a thumbs up. If you hated it, give it a thumbs down. And a big shout out to Wargaming for finally doing the right thing and releasing this thing as an availability for everyone. And if there's any feedback I'd like to give to Wargaming, look, it's okay if you want to have gambling inside the game for new tanks, as long as you tell us that the vehicle will be available outside of gambling in the future. All of the pain and the suffering that you put through all of your tank collectors and all of the low effort baiting that you put on them to go and spend thousands of dollars in the game to be able to get a tank that they had no idea if they'd be able to get in the future. Shame on you, Wargaming, for doing that. And let me know what you think in the comments down below. And if you're watching this video as it's released on Friday, I'm going live right now on twitch.tv/QuickyBaby with brand new loot so you can get your hands on all of your goodies. So come along and tell me what you think about the 283. Do you think it's the worst tank? As always, thank you so much for watching. You've been epic, and I'm looking forward to seeing you live on Twitch now.